This is your reporting. Take us through it.
I mean, so late last night, where this message comes through in this channel that my colleagues and I at the Times are on, that this ruling has come out. And to me, someone who's been covering this Donald Trump and the investigations of Donald Trump all the way back until right after the 2016 election, I was like, wow. I was like,
finally.
No, well, there have been so many damaging disclosures about Donald Trump, but so few times do we see their actual consequences. Now, this may be appealed and maybe the number is knocked down, but it was different and it stood out because for one of the first times, there was a dollar figure put on his behavior. And to me, as someone who at times thinks, how do we continue to cover this story? What other disclosures could there be that really change the narrative? I was pretty intrigued by it because there was a consequence. And on top of that, it's not just a consequence, but it's a consequence for the legal team. And that the legal avenues pursued by them are coming home with a big payday on them of $1 million. So, look, the Trump story is one that goes and goes and goes, and sometimes it doesn't surprise you, and sometimes it does. But for me, I said, wow. There's a consequence.
Well, in the interest of disclosure, we're married. We read the story at the same time. And my thought was the opposite. My thought was, where's everybody else? I mean, finally, this judge, who I'd never heard of, calls Bill Barr's favorite word BS on the whole gumming up of the courts that is clearly a strategy. I mean, I think the most interesting and pointed thing he says is this isn't a client at the whim of his lawyers. He's directing the legal strategy. Why did it take this long for a judge to call him out?
So I actually am more with Mike on that.
Of course you are.
Because I think if you step back, I think there are two really interesting things that this is emblematic of. One is exactly the fact that the court was willing to say, no, this is on you. You can't say that I'm relying on counsel and that I just followed what counsel said. And that's going to be quite important as we go on. And he was just, as you said, was not having any of that and saying, this is your consistent pattern. But the other is, I think it is a sign that if you look at the three branches of government and how they have fared, even during the Trump administration, we have seen by far the judiciary is the one that has stood up. And, not uniformly, we do have Judge Cannon. But if you look at what happened to Judge Cannon's rulings, whether it's by Trump-appointed lawyers or, judges or not, that was, completely lambasted. You saw judges in the January 6th investigation, whether they're Trump-appointed or not, holding people responsible. And then in Trump's many, many, many claims at the federal and state level that there was a fraudulent election, also holding them in account. And there are courts that are also referring lawyers for disciplinary proceedings, and you do have Rudy Giuliani being suspended. So yes, this is the first sort of large fine, but I do think that you're seeing the courts really saying, you know what, if you want to politically say a lot of things that are not true, we can't do anything about that. But when you say it in a court of law, there are consequences. It is fair to say, why isn't this done before? But I do think it is a sign that this is a branch of government that really is shown that they will uphold the rule of law.
Tim, maybe they can apply for jobs at DOJ. Tim Miller, when you look at how January 6th became a fringe production, it is for the reason Andrew Weissmann is articulating. It's because Rudy took his junk lawsuits to state courts and lost everyone. I think it's 60 cases he lost. One case was won. The reality, though, is that all the people, I think I've interviewed at least 3/4 of the people that are sued in this frivolous lawsuit, which is no doubt some kernel of an idea he saw on right-wing media and decided to harass these people even further. They have paid with their reputations. They have paid in all sorts of manner of ways, but they have also had to hire lawyers. I mean, these are not asinine lawsuits that a judge mocks, and so we leave with it, that don't have real consequences for real human beings. And I'm not sure we've seen a tipping point of that ship being righted yet. Have you?
No, and I think it's overdue too, Nicole. So count me in your camp on that one.
Too. Thank you, my friend.
Because it isn't even just the stop the steal stuff. I mean, Trump's been doing this.
Right.
You read Maggie Habermas' Confidence, man. He's been doing this stuff since the 80s. It's frivolous lawsuits, abusing the courts in order to bully counterparties. I mean, this is just a long held strategy for this guy, and I'm glad we finally reached the find out portion of his chicanery. But look, I do. The one thing I did agree with Andrew on that I think is a good point here, though, is time and again the courts have really stood up in the face of a big assault. And we spend a lot of time on this show and others at the Bulwark, like talking about all the areas where democracy is kind of fraying at the seams, or our institutions are fraying at the seams. And again, as Andrew said, not every single time, but really even Trump appointed judges in a lot of cases. So it has been good to see that in the face of this, like in modern times, unprecedented assault on our democratic institutions, that time and again it has been the courts, that have been the ones that have come through. It hasn't been Congress, certainly not now with a Republican Congress that was able to do it. The Republican Senate didn't hold Donald Trump to account. Unfortunately, we've had to rely on the courts. And I think just one really quick thing about the lawyer fees. This is something that I'm worried about and to keep an eye on going forward with the investigations with that Republican House, with the investigations of the January 6th committee, with the investigations of staffers. Once again, hopefully in these sorts of situations, we can get these people, restitution, if they're having, it's not just their reputations, but financially, having to deal with these, ridiculous types of investigations and suits.
Yeah, I mean, ridiculous investigations being waged by, in some instances, ridiculous lawyers. We found some footage of the lawyer sanctioned in this case, Alina Habba, sort of spreading. Someone's remodeling, and who doesn't want to remodel around 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon? Excuse us while we deal with our housekeeping issues. But this is Alina Habba, the lawyer on TV, sort of spreading. This is the playbook, right? Spread disinformation on conservative media, file a frivolous lawsuit, and hope that it doesn't end up before a judge like this one. Let me play this for you, Mike.
The former president looked at me and he told me, you know what, Alina, you're not going to win. You can't win. Just get rid of it. Don't do the case. And I said, no, we have to fight. It's not right what happened. You can only lie so much, and I would really appreciate if the left-wing media started to be accountable for what they're doing. This is a real they're destroying democracy.
The reality is they're not supposed to be litigious. They're supposed to be cooperative. This is the Department of Justice.
So there's one Fox News appearance, a couple on Newsmax, Mike, and it's you could take out this individual's name and face in this lawsuit, and this is what they do every time. They accuse the others of doing what they have done over and over and over again. I think the Washington Post found Trump to have lied 36,000 times. I mean, there is a problem with lying. There is a problem with inciting insurrections and whatnot, but it's not the people they're trying to target with their lawsuit.
There's also something embarrassing that happened sort of behind the scenes in this suit, and that's that about a week after it was filed, a server, someone with a suit, went to serve it to Jim Comey at Jim Comey's house. And Jim Comey was out in the front yard spreading mulch, of
course he was.
And he was taking out of a pickup truck and he was spreading mulch in his yard, and the server takes a look at him. Jim Comey's a pretty recognizable guy. Takes a look at him, just walks up to the front door and knocks on the door. Rings the doorbell, looks in, looking for Jim Comey.
He's a hard guy to miss.
Hard guy to miss.
Very tall.
Yeah, so Trump servers not being that informed. The guy turns around, starts walking out, takes a look at Comey, heads out, gets in his car, leaves, doesn't serve him with the suit.
Well, it gets back to the incompetence, I guess, of all of his operations. I mean, from top to bottom, his legal operations are incompetent. And you and your colleagues have reported on lawyers having to hire lawyers. I mean, will she need a lawyer now?
I mean, everyone in Trump's orbit who's providing him with legal advice now, I think, has to be thinking about that, if not confronting it. Look, dating back to Don McGahn in the first year of the presidency, he needed a lawyer. But there's full-blown criminal investigations looking at every part of this, and it doesn't seem like the legal bench that he has is that big. It seems like there's a lot of reoccurring people who are working on different, all these different investigations. So Definitely. I think that all of these lawyers have that. And as we've seen, the Justice Department has been trying to talk to them.